Alright, what's up everybody? Welcome to round 4 of our Thursday night modern casual tournament. On the left we have Ethan on humans. On the right we have Jordan on Boros Burn. So this, like most matchups, is going to be quick and furious. Ethan's going to want to try to deploy a bunch of humans, just like what the deck does. And Jordan is going to want to deploy some threats and try to clean up what humans he can, while trying to get the big win. So Jordan drops a Wooded Foothills, cracks it, lightning bolts himself by taking 2 from his line and hits him with a Monastery Swift Spear point. So we're getting this game underway. So Ethan plays the plains, drops an Ether Vial, gets ready to start ticking that up. That way he can deploy threats and also chumpers, because he does have to watch his life total this first game. Alright, Jordan untaps, draws his card, see what he's got. Hopefully he can drop another Goblin Guide or another Monastery Swift Spear. He's going to want to put this damage in quick, because after turns 2 and 3 he has to start kind of doing some damage to his humans. Unless he does quite a bit of damage here, and then he can just throw the burn all up top of the dome. So he plays a Scalding Tarn, cracks it, grabs a mountain, puts it into play. I assume we're going to see a Lava Spike here. Should be amazing, getting in for 7 damage on turn 2. That would be very optimal. Or pretty much any spell to give both those Monastery Swift Spears a little bump in damage. He does not. Gets in for 2. That's it. Oh, ouch. That's rough. Really getting in that extra 2 points of damage would have been huge right here, because it would have been a 7-point turn and not just a 2-point turn. Still not bad. Maybe he's just going to leave up a lightning bolt and pop the first human that jumps into play. We'll see. Alright, so Ethan activates Ether Vial, drops a champion. He's going to start pumping that guy up like mad. Follows it with Quite Sail Freebooter. It's going to trigger champion, and he gets to pull a card out of his hand. So he sees a Boros Charm, a Skewer, and I can't see what that middle one is. Searing Blaze? Probably going to take Searing, because if he plays a line next turn, he can do 3 damage to a creature and a player. Skewer, if he takes damage, will only cost a red, but he's got to do damage to make it cost a red. Boros Charm right now, probably the least grabbable. Yep, so he grabs the Searing Blaze. Optimal choice. So Jordan's hand is just wasn't the best for an out-of-the-gates double Monastery Swift Spear. Alright, so that's one thing about running Skewer with Monastery Swift Spear. You do sometimes have that bad beat where you can't just jam it before you attack to get maximum damage. Draws a card, reviews the board, gets in for 2. See if he blocks. He's probably just going to take 2. At that point, you probably could Boros Charm him, get in an extra 2 points of damage, and do the 4 from Boros Charm. Play Sacred Foundry and Skewer the Kite Sail Freebooter to get back your Blaze. Nope, he's just going to... I don't know if I do that. You've lost 2 damage from your Swift Spears there, but it's still fine to get your Searing Blaze back. It takes 2 damage, and he's going to... Let's see here. If you can find it on the spin down dice. So now he's going to Searing Blaze that guy. 3 to the creature, 3 to the dome. Now it's 2 triggers you just took off your Monastery Swift Spears. You did clear up the board, which is amazing, but you're going to start running out of gas here, because your Monastery Swift Spears can't really fight through the humans that are going to start coming down. Maybe you just did it to keep that guy from getting out of burn range. But if that was the fact, I probably would have just killed the champion. Okay, so second Kite Sail Freebooter comes down, takes the Boros Charm, tucks it under there. And now Jordan has to draw a spell, or else he just got a bunch of vanilla 1/2s. Not good when you're at 12 life. Alright, so he cracks his land. Then out that deck a little bit more. Not going good for Jordan in this perspective. Usually right about here, you're hoping that your opponent's had about 5 to 8 life, if not lower. So, like I said, that goes back to those early couple turns where he could have just gotten some more damage into the dome, and the Monastery Swift Spears would have had a few more pumps. Yeah, the humans would be on critical right now and have more humans in play, but you would have them on that top deck burnout range, or hopefully in that time frame area. Well, we'll see how this plays out. So Jordan draws his card, Hopefully he has a burn here. Swings in. Now if he blocks and loses his Kitesail Freebooter here, he gets a Boros Charm back, which is 4 damage. That's rough. I'd probably just chump, let the Kitesail Freebooter sit on the charm. Because at this point in time, you can even start picking back at him in the air. If he does have a burn, that's a huge swing, but you just can't give him Boros Charm back. He's probably thinking the same thing. Alright, so he does chump 1. Takes 1. Jordan passes. So I suspect Jordan has probably another Boros Charm in hand, or he's just sitting on a line to scare him. Alright, so Ethan drops Caverns, names Humans. Has Ether Vial at 3, so if he could have Instant Speed Mana Rider. Yep, there's Instant Speed Mana Rider. Jammed into play. And a Hierarch. I'd probably just get in the air for 4 then. No reason to attack with Kitesail Freebooter, it just nullifies the Exalt trigger, so leaves our Kitesail Freebooter back just in case you want to block. Draws a card. So Jordan's on a 2-turn clock. Because next turn, no, 3-turn clock. He could get hit, Mantis Rider for 4, go to 5. The problem with this, though, is that, well, okay, so maybe Jordan does have something. Because clearly you just don't want to throw a Monastery Swiftspear in front of a 3-3. Not unless he's hoping that he has to block both of them, so he'll lose one Monastery and at least kill something else. But either way, even if he jumps with the Hierarch, it's still a 3-turn clock. So he doesn't even need the Hierarch. So at this point, he could even jump with a Hierarch. In case he does have that burn spell. So it looks like Ethan is doing some math himself. Thinking he's got a burn spell. Okay, so let's see what Jordan does here. Boros Charm? Oh, nope, Syrian Blaze. Okay, so it does 1. So he's going to do 1 to him and 1 to that, which will pump up the Monastery Swiftspear, finishing off the Mantis Rider, and get in for 2. And then he has Eidolon. Eidolon of the Great Rebels. Okay. So he untapped. This Monastery Swiftspear should be dead here. I'm not sure why he's not taking. No, I'm pretty sure it's dead, right? 'Cause, yeah, he does 3 damage to him. He's a 2-3. Okay, there we go. He's dead. Alright, so Eidolon comes down. So now we're in a very. This is a very bad moment for both players. Even Burn here, because Eidolon, when you're at 9, you know you're at possibly 8 if he attacks with the Kitesail Freebooter, which leaves you on only playing X amount of spells. Like 3, 4 spells, obviously 4 spells, you're dead, so 3 spells max. But that also puts the human player on that also, but he's got an Ether Vial, which is going to bypass that and put it into play. So we got to hope he draws 1 and 2 humans. And, oh, with all these lieutenants, so of all the humans, that's probably the best draw he could have picked up right there, especially with Kitesail Freebooter, to be able to get in the air. So it's going to pump up his entire team, +1 across the board to all humans. Attacks in the air for 2 flying, which now means Jordan can only play 2 spells without dying. So that's a rough one. He's in a very bad spot. He's got to rip a burn here, but even if he rips a burn to knock out the Kitesail Freebooter, that puts him at 4. Plays the charm underneath it, that puts him at 2, and that would leave Ethan at 3. So he'd still need to find 3 damage, but he couldn't play another burn spell because then he'd die himself. It always sucks when you in that burn position and you get yourself put in that Eidolon lockout. And that's something to always think about early game when you're cracking your fetch lands and just going for Sacred Foundries. Sometimes you don't need to bolt yourself twice early on, that way you have 1 more card to play around later on with Eidolon. I have seen some burn players where they fetch twice or even 3 times and they don't think about the late game of taking their own damage that might matter when Eidolon pops up. Alright, so Jordan's been in the tank a while here. I think he's doing the same math I am. He's probably got a burn spell, realizing that he's only got so much room to play with. But he can't also just sit back. He's got no defense against 2 damage in the air. Okay. So he attacks with both of his guys. Now, this is also a spot where Ethan... I don't think Ethan wants to kill the Eidolon, because he knows he's got him, like, trapped too. But he has to make sure he doesn't get in kill range, like 2 burn spell range. So whatever he can do not to kill the Eidolon, but not take any damage. Because if he hits him with Kitesail Freebooter next turn, that means he can only play 1 spell. So now the tables have turned and it's going back to Ethan to start grinding out some numbers in his head. Seeing what he has to chump. Like at this point in time, I probably would chump 1. The Monastery? Oh no, you chump the Eidolon because then you force him to play a spell if he has one. Oh no, yep, okay. Because if he's got a spell, he's going to take an extra point from Monastery anyways. So you might as well just chump the Thalia for your Eidolon if you're going to chump something. And then at this point, I might even chump both and just hope you top deck a human. And that way you can't get into burn range. Oh no, okay, he's going to block there. Okay, so block is done. Thalia's lieutenant's going to die. As far as you know, Ethan's going to take 1, go to 6. That's still a healthy range. Because we know Jordan cannot burn him twice, or he will be dead himself. And Jordan passes the turn. See what Ethan can rip. He's hoping he's going to 3-drop. 3-drop would probably mean Mana Strider or Reflective Mage. And he could use the Other Vial not to take damage. Oh, he drew a 3-drop. He gets to use the Other Vial and not take any damage. Man, that Eidolon has done nothing for Jordan this game. Reflector Mage come down. You bounce the Monastery Swiftspear. You definitely do not bounce the Eidolon. You do not want to put that back in his hand. Get in there for 2. Knock him to 4. And you're going to... Now, Jordan cannot play 2 burn spells. So he can't even double bolt for the win. So he's got to attack with Eidolon and hope that he kills it. There's a couple outs if he kills Eidolon, because he could Searing Playland, Searing Blaze, Kitesail Freebooter, knocking him to 3, and then Boros Charming him. I mean, there's a couple weird different positions. Nope, he doesn't have it. That's weird, though. He blocked Reflector Mage to the Eidolon. I probably wouldn't have done that. I would have chumped it with my Hierarch, let Eidolon stay in play, because then he would have been dead in 2 turns anyways. I'm thinking it would be the play, as far as I know. Pretty sure that would be the play. But yeah, so killing Eidolon would just give him the Hail Mary chance out. Again, it's far chance, but you never want to give him that window of opportunity, no matter how slim it is. Okay, so they're going to the sideboard. So Humans has an immensely way better sideboard against obviously Boros Burn. It can either bring in, depending on what he runs in his sideboard, either Core Firewalkers or Auriok Champions, which are both amazing cards against Boros Burn. And then, depending on what else he has. So, and then I assume Jordan would probably bring in 3 or 4 Skullcracks. The reason for that is so he's bringing in Auriok Champions. Is that since it prevents that damage, prevents healing and damage. Ooh, saucy. Then you could kill those pro red guys, which are just absolutely backbreaking against Boros Burn. So they both drew their hand. See if they are keeping. So it looks like Ethan did mulligan once, puts 1 card on the bottom. Jordan leads with a mountain. Goblin Guide. Seems like a good start. Get that shock in right away. Ethan drops Caverns, names humans, and plays Ethervile. Possibly the number one start. Number one thing you can do for humans out of the gate. Right. So, Jordan drops a big canyon into a double Goblin Guide, the ultimate start for Boros. So, flips a Mantis Rider. No land up there, so you're not giving him any extra lands. And you're hitting him for 4. It's a pretty good start. I do like the canyon. I think that was probably one of the biggest cards from the set to bring Boros Burn back on the top. Oh, and he Lava Spikes him for 3. It gives it a little extra oomph. I mean, the deck is always, deck's always floating around there. But to give the deck the ability to just draw a card late game to get you that little extra oomph over the top. Auric Champion comes down, pro red. Now remember, this isn't Core Firewalker. This isn't whenever you place a red spell, you gain a life. So it's not as good in this matchup per se. It's whenever you play a creature, you gain a life. And he's only a 1/1, not a 2/2. Alright, so Goblin Guides come in. Still in the lands, Kitesail Freebooter on top of his deck. He can chump one of these guys, but not kill it and prevent damage from coming through. And at this point, that's probably what I would. You want to prevent... I mean, you're already at 11, so you can't possibly take 4 damage. He might not block and try to play around Skullcrack, and then just try to invest in some creatures later. Because if he blocks and Jordan plays Skullcrack, this game is probably over with already. But if you take 4, that's... I don't know. We'll see what he does. Oh, because he does take 4. So he's planning on getting some value for some creatures, getting some of that life back. Jordan pondering over how he wants to burn Ethan away. So he jams a Hierarch into play. End of turn with Ethervile. Ticked at 1. Goes up to 2. So now we can start deploying the Kitesail Freebooter that he just drew from his deck. So you can play Mantis Rider and still have Ethervile up for Kitesail Freebooter. I probably would have played Kitesail Freebooter first just to pull a burn spell from his hand or look at it. Just to see if he'd blow a burn spell out. He gained 1 from the Core Firewalker, so that's 1 life gained back. He ends up taking it. I would wait to Ethervile Kitesail Freebooter in because you want him to waste his mana during his turn. So I don't know if I would play it now. I probably wouldn't, especially since he can do it at instant speed. There's absolutely no reason to. So okay, he passes the turn, Goblin Guides on tap. Draws his card for the turn. Jordan puts a mountain down. And I believe he's going to get in with the Goblin Guides. Nope, you wouldn't want to do that. You got a Mantis Rider and a... Alright, let's see what he's got. He's getting in there. Attacking with both. Maybe he's waiting to see what's on top of his deck before he blows them out with a burn. Triggers on the stack, first one. Again, no land. In all the matches I've watched with Goblin Guide on the Labrynth Games YouTube channel, I don't think I've ever seen a Goblin Guide reveal a land. There's been a lot of Goblin Guide triggers too. Okay, so also before, yep, he is doing that before blocks. He just wanted to see what was on top of his deck. He's blazing away the Mantis Rider and doing 3 to the dome. Or Ethervile. He's doing Ethervile on the stack. Kitesail Freebooter comes in. He gains another life. So that's 2 life that Auric Champion has given back to him. Looks like he's got Searing. Is it Searing Hands? Lava Spike. And Skewer. Can't tell what that third one is. If it is a Skewer, at this point you take Skewer because it's the only one he can cast that hits your creature. You can still Lava Spike you and go to 4, but... Yep, that's the optimal choice. Make him spend 2 on that. So even with an Auric Champion in play, this game is looking pretty good. So he knows to block now. There's no reason not to, obviously. He does not have a Skullcrack. Goes to 5. Taps the big canyon, takes 1 himself to Lava Spike him to 2. Now remember, if he lived dangerously earlier and tried to play around, didn't try and play around Skullcrack, he'd be at 4 right now because he would have blocked him 1 extra time. So he's gained 3. So he's almost gained... Well, he's gained back the 2 life he did from blocking plus some. But remember, he'd be at 5 if he did make that block. Okay, so Thalia's lieutenant comes down, beefs up his beefy team, and it's still not looking good for Ethan, but Jordan does not have this locked away yet. I assume Kitesail Freebooter is coming over for 2, 3 with an Exalt trigger. Oh, making sure that's count is correct. That put Jordan to 11, and we're still kind of in that super assault mode where humans can just swing for a bunch. So this game still isn't over. Ethan's doing math in his head. And again, in this circumstance, I would just swing it with Kitesail Freebooter and get that 3 damage in the air. Because you definitely got to keep Jordan on the clock here. There's no reason to keep him back. Your survival is not worth the clock that he's just going to keep drawing burn off the top of his deck. Alright, so Jordan draws. He knows he's got a Skier in his hand still. Or no, Skier's under Kitesail. Searing Hands, I believe it was. But he still has an active Ether Vial, so you have to watch out for sneaky 2-drops coming in. And humans are starting to clutter up the board. And thanks to Thalia's Lieutenant bumping that Auric Champion up to a 2-2, it no longer can just be a chumper. It can actually eliminate one of those Goblin Guides. That's what Jordan is doing in his head. He's doing some math. I think at this point in time, depending on if he's got burn in his hand, I may even just leave the Goblin's Guides back to block now, hoping that you can just draw the burn and knock him out. Because if you send in the 2 guys, he can just chump one, you lose one, and chump the other, or even double block and kill it and lose 1 guy. And then you have no Goblin Guides and an open board. So I would leave my 2 back to block. Alright, so he does pass the turn. And this is where the Sunbaked Canyon comes in really well, where even if you don't have the bird in your hand, you maybe has 1 lightning bolt, and if you're a lightning bolt, crack the canyon, get that additional draw. And that's the nail in the coffin. Again, I think it's one of the reasons why the deck is kind of, obviously its wins have increased recently. Always there. You always got to watch out for burn. Alright, end of turn, 2 mana. 2 to Thalia, 3 to him. Goes to 1. Untap draw. Show me the money. Oh, a second one. And he's at 1, so that just knocks him out. He's got nothing. So he would have been at 3 had he blocked earlier and not tried to play around that. Skullcrack? But he did have 2 Sunbaked Canyons that he could have cracked, so it probably wouldn't have mattered. But shuffling up. Let's go to game 3. Both got their hands. They both kept. Unclaimed territory comes down. Hierarch. Perfect start. Humans. I don't know if... I'm not sure if Hierarch is a better start for humans or if Ether Vial is. Hierarch lets the turn 2 Madness Rider come down for 4. And that clock is ridiculous. What Ethan is hoping for this game is to deploy some Auric Champions. At least get one into play ASAP. Start getting some life. Okay, so he does have, oh, okay, that hand is pretty amazing. You got the Kitesail Freebooter. You can put it down and kind of spy his hand. And then drop Champion and see if it's free to start blocking right away. I mean, heck, you could even leave with Auric Champion. And that way you just start gaining life. Alright, so he takes 2 from the Goblin Guide. Look at that, no land on top of his deck. Shocker. Since we never see lands with Goblin Guides. Drops his lands. He's got... Oh, Thalia. So we've got 2/1 first strike and making all spells cost 1 more. I did not expect that to come down right away. It does keep Goblin Guide in check. And it pretty much makes it so he has to use a lightning bolt to kill Thalia. When you break it down, how many spells in your deck that can actually kill Thalia that cost 1 mana? That can actually target it. So suspending Rift Bolt is gonna make him pay for more later. It's like future investment plan, because he's still gonna have to pay 1 more when it comes off of suspension. Sacred Foundry comes into play tapped. Oh, that looked like a second Auric champion. This is not good for Jordan. Even if Jordan has a Skull Crack or something, some kind of tech Path to Exiles that came in maybe for those Auric champions. 2 of them plus a Kitesail Freebooter. So I'll play Kitesail Freebooter to make sure that the path is... No, I'm just going to leave that out. Just dropping that right away. Oh, he's got 2 Auric champions. That's true. You just gain an additional life. Since he can't do any shenanigans beforehand. Kitesail Freebooter comes down. We get to see Jordan's hand. See what it is. This is not good for Jordan. Yep. So this is definitely not good. No. That's the exact same thing I think about when I look at this matchup. And you have the card coming out, which I talked about in I think the video before this, is it Giant Smash, Giant Smashing Giant. That has Adventure of 2, and it does 2 damage and instant speed. Damage cannot be prevented that turn, and then it comes back from exile for 3, and you got a 4/3 body. Like right now would be amazing. You could zap the pro red guy, and then on this turn drop a 4/3 body. That's huge in this matchup. And then if they try to target it, they take 2 damage. So if they have a path or some type of spell, they have to shock themselves to remove the giant. Just another weapon that would be in the sideboard of Boros. I don't know, like, Skullcrack, like, again, you just get a body that continues to beat the face in. So I still think that would be better than Skullcrack. But that's obviously less against, like, Wormcoil Engine and some other cards in the format. Alright. So Jordan pays the 1, bolts it. That way he can open up some mana, because I assume he's going to need mana to play all of those 2-drop spells, because if not, they cost 3 and he can only play 1 spell per turn. But I think Ethan's going to get in there for 2 in the air. I mean, heck, at this point, you play the other Auric champion, gain 1. Every creature that comes down after that, you gain 2. The sideboard is definitely going to win this one for Ethan, and that's a price you got to pay when you're picking up Boros Burn. You get to games 2 and 3, and sometimes you just need a little bit of luck of dodging that sideboard. Like the old burn, the Zooish burn, you know, at least had some sideboard removal for like enchantments or artifacts. So if decks that brought in some artifacts or is it the tooth that lets you gain a life every time a red spell is played, that was always really good against this. Alright, so Auric champion comes down, gains a life. He's at a healthy 19. Hits him for some damage, passes the turn. At this point in time, I hate to call a match like this soon, but I think this is over. Not looking good. Now, there's tons of knights in the new set. Sure, their subtype is human, so my expectation is that there's going to be some quick drop that might sneak its way into modern humans. I haven't taken a thorough look at all of the creatures for sure, though. But there are a lot of 1, 2, and... I should say 1, but there are a ton of 2 and 3 drops in this Throne set. Jordan leaves up a bunch of mana, passes the turn. Helping Hands on taps a Kitesail Freebooter. Ancient Ziggurat comes down. Looks like Ethan's got a Reflector Mage. Reflector Mage the Goblin Guide, gain 2. Making sure he can't replay Goblin Guide and just put a board full of goodies in play. Alright, so... Oh, got the Bugler. The Bugle Boy. So he comes down. 2/3 Vigilance. Look at the top 3 cards of your deck. Get to grab a dude. Power 2 or less. I believe the Bugler is. Alright, Zathrid Necromancer. It's the 2/2 for 3, leaves a human cleric, and then whenever one of your non-token humans dies, he makes a 2/2 zombie token. I think if he dies too, that also turns into a 2/2 zombie. Which, when you've got 2 pro-red guys, that whenever a creature comes into play, you gain 2 life in play, that seems pretty good. Got the awesome full art Friday Night Magic Bugler promo. I was very impressed with a lot of the promos they were giving out for Friday Night Magic for a while there. Tons of them were standard staples, and as you can see, a few of them made them into modern. It's always good to see, rather than the hit and miss Friday Night Magic promos where they're either worthless and they never see any play, or it comes along and you get that one Path to Exile Friday Night Magic promo, which is amazing. Jordan taps double Lava Spike. Normally would be good, but in this board position, doesn't do much. Doesn't do much of anything. Ethan goes to drop another unclaimed territory. Cracks Horizon Canopy. Puts into play the Necromancer. Gains some of that life back that Jordan shipped away a little bit with. People are having a hard time finding those life on that spin down. There it is, 16. Gonna swing with the Bugler and the Kite Sail. So for 4 points. Oh, maybe just a Kite Sail, giving his little trigger. He's gonna Searing Hands the Necromancer because he can. Since he's still playing, hoping to win. Dies, he takes 3, gains 2, so takes 1. These are the board positions where your imminent death is just terrible. You can see it coming. Jordan flipping through his cards, seeing if there's any possible hope. Glimmer of hope off in the distance. Don't think there's a glimmer of hope. Ethan draws a card. Another Horizon Canopy, which he immediately cracks to draw a card. And Windmill slams a third Oreo Champion, and that is enough to put Jordan out of his misery with the finish. The game played out very good. Like I said, Jordan picked up that match too, which was pretty good because he only hit 1 Auric Champion. He still came back and won that. And that last match just was kind of it looked like it was going good, but definitely got steamrolled there. Well, I appreciate it, guys. Looks like Humans goes 4-0 tonight, taking down this Thursday Modern Casuals. And we'll see you next Thursday. Peace out, guys.